So, after Joe Biden's amazing State of the Union address, a Republican senator, Katie Britt, I believe the youngest Republican senator in American history, apparently, female Republican senator, to be specific, excuse me, that is a historical aspect of her position. She's the youngest female Republican senator to ever be elected. Her name is Katie Britt, and she had a response to Big B, Big Biden, Joseph. She had a response to Joseph. And everybody's saying the response is trash, it's cringe, it's demonic, it's evil. Let's give this little white girl a chance. Let's see what she got to say. I'm not going to be no hating ass nigga. We're going to listen to what she had to say the same way we listen to Joe. Okay? I support Joe Biden. I love Joe Biden. But we got to be fair. We got to listen to everybody. So let's see what Miss Britt got to say. From what I've heard, it's not going to be good, but let's go fuck with it. Let's see what she got to say.
Good evening, America. My name is Katie Britt, and I have the honor of serving the people of the great state of Alabama in the United States Senate. However, that's not the job that matters most. I am a proud wife and mom of two school-aged kids. My daughter Bennett and my son Ridgway are why I ran for the Senate. I'm worried.
I was about to say so. Yo, let me chill.
About their future and the future of children in every corner of our nation. And that's why I invited you into our home tonight. Like so many families across America, my husband Wesley and I just watched President Biden's State of the Union address from our living room. And what we saw was the performance of a permanent politician who has actually been in office for longer than I've been alive. One thing was quite clear, though. President Biden just doesn't get it. He's out of touch. Under his administration, families are worse off, our communities are less safe, and our country is less secure.
She got that little teleprompter face. You know what I'm saying? She's staring hard at something. I don't know what she's staring at. Now, first and foremost, the insult of Joe Biden is a permanent politician. There's a word for that. It's called a statesman. The same way we have things like doctors, lawyers, soldiers, Marines, sailors, pilots, we also have statesmen, aka politicians. We want experienced people in office. We want someone who's been in Washington for a very long time to lead our country. Someone who knows how to conduct themselves appropriately and professionally on both a domestic and foreign level, which is Joseph Biden. Now, I will give you this. Is Joe Biden in his physical prime? No. Is Joe Biden in his political prime? I don't know. I don't know what prime Joe Biden looks like as president. I don't know what that looks like. I honestly have no clue what a prime Joseph Robinette, you know what I'm saying? Robinette is a crazy middle name. I don't know what Robinette would look like in his prime, but the reality is Joe Biden's experience should not be a knock against him. And this is what I'm talking about when I say that Republicans have become a dysfunctional party where they get mad at you or insult you for having been in Washington for too long. The establishment. God forbid the United States has an institution, a government comprised of experienced statesmen. God forbid the people that run our country know what they're doing. The problem is when people like you, who are everyday Americans, think that you know how to run the show better than people who have dedicated every inch of their soul and body and mind to politics. You don't know. You don't. You absolutely don't. And this narrative of America's homes and families and our national security is being undermined. Like, first and foremost, y'all are the ones who refuse to support Joe Biden's border bill. Y'all are the ones who refuse to help us stop Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Republicans, in case you need a reminder, maybe a memory check, y'all are the ones currently undermining every attempt to secure America's interests, both foreign and domestic. But let me let Shorty cook.
I just wish he understood what real families are facing around kitchen tables just like this one. You know, this is where our family has tough conversations. It's where we make hard decisions. It's where we share the good, the bad, and the ugly of our days. It's where we laugh together. And it's where we hold each other's hands and pray for God's guidance. And many nights, to be honest, It's where Wesley and I worry. I know we're not alone. And so tonight, the American family needs to have a tough conversation.
Yeah, okay, I know, bro. I'm sorry. I'm immature as fuck. I know, but she gotta, like, ma'am, you don't need to be that dramatic. You seem articulate. You seem well-spoken. You seem like a really good orator. You don't have to put emotion into every single line. Just talk normal.
The truth is, we're all worried about the future of our nation. The country we know and love seems to be slipping away, and it feels like the next generation will have fewer opportunities and less freedoms than we did. I worry my own children may not even get a shot at living their American dreams. My American dream allowed me, the daughter of two small business owners from rural Enterprise, Alabama, to be elected to the United States Senate at the age of 40. Growing up, sweeping the floor at my dad's hardware store and cleaning the bathroom at my mom's dance studio, I never could have imagined what my story would entail.
This is so folksy and so pointless. I understand conservatives love a good folksy, people's people, mom, pop, two-story home, kids, I'm in the kitchen. Like, ma'am, that's nice. You're in politics now, and you've garnered the attention of the entire nation. Please get to the point. Please. It's not the whole... And before you get in the comment section, Gen Z, attention span, 0, Gen Z... Stop, okay? She gets galloping, bro. She doing too much. It's facts. She talking about all this other shit. Like, bro, get to... Like, can you please talk about what you don't like about Joe Biden?
To think about what the American dream can do across just one generation, in just one lifetime. It's truly breathtaking. But right now, the American dream has turned into a nightmare.
Okay,
for
talk.
So many families. The true, unvarnished state of our union begins and...
Unvarnished. Hold up. Google time. I don't know what that word means. Unvarnished. Plain and straightforward. Okay, do your thing.
It ends with this. Our families are hurting. Our country can do better.
Okay.
And you don't have to look any further than the crisis at our southern border to see it.
Wait.
President?
Hold up. You just sat there and spent the last 4 minutes and 38 seconds talking about family. We all know the average American family is unaffected by what's going on at the border. Now, I express my deepest condolences, respect, and absolute sympathy to any family who's lost someone to an illegal immigrant coming in and killing their family member. That is not a light issue to me. I want the border secure just as much as any fucking crazy fucking white Southern Republican, all right? And I'm a liberal. I'm a Democrat. However, to sit there and paint this ridiculous picture that you and your husband are sitting there just losing your minds, you know, aggressively massaging your temples, throwing hats on the ground, kicking chairs because, oh my God, the border's not secure. Stop it. Please stop it. Oh, and by the way, you're in the Senate. How about you tell your constituency about how y'all tanked the border bill so Deontay, aka Donald, could have a platform to run on in 2024, which is this year. How about you tell your audience about that? Let's see if she says it.
Biden inherited the most secure border of all time. But minutes after taking office, he suspended all deportations, he halted construction of the border wall, and he announced a plan to give amnesty to millions. We know that President Biden didn't just create this border crisis. He invited it with 94 executive actions in his first 100 days. When I took office, I took a different approach. I traveled to the Del Rio sector of Texas. That's where I spoke to a woman who shared her story with me. She had been sex trafficked by the cartels starting at the age of 12. She told me not just that she was raped every day, but how many times a day she was raped. The cartels put her on a mattress in a shoebox of a room, and they sent men through that door over and over again for hours and hours on end. We wouldn't be okay with this happening in a third world country. This is the United States of America, and it is past time, in my opinion, that we start acting like it.
Here's the problem. And this is one of the most disturbing and scary things about this woman. Look at that little face. You know what I'm saying? She's a little baddie, but, you know, she's a little crazy. She's a little baddie, though. The woman she's talking about, her assault at the hands of the cartels took place from 2004 to, I believe, 2006 or 2008. How do I know? Let's pull up the article. So, Biden rebutter Senator Britt, our resident baddie from Alabama, blasted for recycling 20-year-old sex traffic story to attack the border policy. Now, this is 20 years old. So, you know, I was a little Todd back in the day. I was toddling around, you know what I'm saying, back in the day, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? In a rebuttal to Joe Biden's State of the Union, Republican Senator Katie Britt of Alabama used what appears to be a sex trafficking victim's experience from the early 2000s to condemn President Joe Biden's current border policy. The victim Britt referenced was Carla Jacinto Romero, who was sex trafficked in Mexico from 2004 to 2008, 20 years before Joe Biden became president. Journalist Jonathan Katz first pieced together Britt's presentation of Jacinto Romero's experience on a TikTok video. Alabama Republican Senator Katie Britt is under fire for using what appears to be a sex trafficking victim's experience from the early 2000s to condemn President Joe Biden and his border policy. Britt gave the GOP rebuttal to Biden's State of the Union address to Congress this week. During her rebuttal, Britt referenced a visit to the Del Rio sector of the Texas border, where she depicted a seemingly personal conversation with someone who had survived sex trafficking by the groups in the U.S. "That's where I spoke to a woman who shared her story with me," Britt said in the video. She had been sex trafficked by the cartels starting at the age of 12. The victim Britt referenced was Carla Jacinto Romero, who was sex trafficked in Mexico, not the United States, as the senator suggested, from 2004 to 2008, 20 years before the Democrat Biden became president. The journalist Jonathan Katz first pieced together Britt's presentation of why are they restating the same thing over and over again, of Jacinto Romero's experience in a TikTok video. Britt seemingly attempted to present the anecdote as a damning example of Biden's border management. "We wouldn't be okay with this happening in a third world country," she added. "President Biden's border policies are a disgrace. This crisis is despicable, but Jacinto Romero did not experience sex trafficking in the U.S. as a result of Joe Biden's border policy, because he was not president from 2004 to 2008, and because she was sex trafficked in Mexico." Katz slammed Britt for the implication that Jacinto Romero divulged her experiences privately. Britt tells it like she's sitting by the banks of the Rio Grande, like holding her hand, like getting her to tell the story that she won't tell anyone else, he said. Instead, he added, Jacinto Romero is a public advocate for sex trafficking and has repeatedly shared her story publicly to shed light on the issue. Jacinto Romero has testified to U.S. Congress, the Mexican House of Representatives, and the Vatican, according to a short 2015 profile in a U.S. House of Representatives document. Britt visited the Del Rio area in January 2023 on a joint trip with Senator Marsha Blackburn, the representative of Tennessee Republican, and Cindy Hyde-Smith, Republican of Mississippi. Why am I having a hard time reading? During that trip, Jacinto Romero appeared at a press conference with Britt, Blackburn, and Hyde-Smith, where she publicly relayed her grueling sex trafficking story. Damn. So someone digged up information and found out that this woman, Britt, went to a trip to the Del Rio area in Texas and attended a press conference that Jacinto Romero spoke at, and that's how they connected where she heard the story. Ah, okay. And Britt is trying to like paint it as though this woman came to her and shared this personal story and they cried and held hands, but in reality it was simply a press conference. Like, okay. Britt has faced a flurry of online criticism since the anecdote was exposed as misplaced, compounding previous disapproval about her rebuttal's delivery. So, not only was Katie Britt a flaming embarrassment, she is also an out and about liar. Alabama's finest. Political scientist Norman Ornstein wrote in an X post. Ornstein is a part of a broader chorus of journalists and others slamming Britt for her storytelling. This was old Alabama politics. The politics of fear and confusion, Alabama columnist Kyle Whitmer wrote on X. Britt blamed Biden for an assault that appears to have happened 20 years ago. Her spokesman won't give a clear answer when asked. Oh yeah, she does have a camp because she's in the Senate. Christine Pelosi, a political strategist and daughter of former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, demanded in a Saturday X post that Britt apologize for lying about the horrific case of sexual violence that you exploited for political purposes. Sean Ross, spokesperson for Senator Britt, did not deny that Jacinto Romero is a sex trafficking survivor in question, but doubled down on Britt's story. The story Senator Britt told was 100% correct, but there are more innocent victims of that kind of disgusting, brutal trafficking, the cartels, than ever before right now. Though sex trafficking has taken place in the U.S. under Biden's administration, Jacinto Romero's sex trafficking story is not an example of it. So this woman, our residential baddie, Katie Britt, decided to invoke an individual's story of sex trafficking and rape to mar and slander Joe Biden's border policy. She brings up a story that does not involve Joe Biden's administration at all. It didn't take place in the United States. It didn't take place under Biden's leadership. And it for damn sure didn't even take place in the last decade. It was 20 years ago. When I was in K4. So I'm looking at it like, shorty, you doing a little bit too much. You know, you invoking people's like trauma stories that didn't even take place in the U.S. under Joe Biden during this decade to slander Biden is sick. Sick. You need help, ma'am. You need help. That little cross you got right there, go on ahead and clutch it real tight and go, you know what I'm saying? Talk to God, because this is disgusting. This is disgusting. Somebody go cut the power in her house. Somebody going ahead and cut the power in her house. Somebody going ahead and cut the power in her crib, because she doing a little bit too much. I ain't gonna lie. Katie Britt, when you have proven that you have gotten your mind back and you're not gonna misbehave no more, after you write, I will not misbehave 100 times on a white piece of paper, and you hand it to me, you hand me that paper, maybe we'll restore the power in your house. But this woman is coming on this TV, camera, YouTube, internet, whatever, misrepresenting what's going on under Joe Biden's administration, and no shame. Like, look at the boldness on her face. This is what we got to deal with as Americans. We got to deal with MAGA lunatics crying about the border. Joe Biden just offered to shut down the border in exchange for Ukraine funding, and y'all said no because you didn't get to have everything you wanted. Y'all are actively undermining our border security and international security with no shame, and you got the audacity to sit here and record this little video. Stop.
President Biden's border policies are a disgrace. This crisis is despicable. And the truth is, it is almost entirely preventable.
It is preventable, but y'all don't want to do nothing about it. Y'all think y'all can keep this up forever? You can't. More and more people are finding out what y'all are doing in Congress. More and more people are finding out that your colleagues in the House are repeatedly blocking bills to fund and protect and secure the border. Y'all can't keep up this little game forever. You managed to almost destroy Obama's legacy with this. You're trying to destroy Biden's legacy with this, but you won't succeed. We know what's going on. You can keep it up, and you can keep trying to invoke stories that have nothing to do with Joe Biden and we know what you got going on. We see what you're trying to do. You will not succeed. Eventually, y'all will answer for this. Not now, but eventually.
From fentanyl poisonings to horrific murders, there are empty chairs tonight at kitchen tables just like this one because of President Biden's senseless border policies. Just think about Lake and Riley. In my neighboring state of Georgia, this beautiful 22-year-old nursing student went out on a jog one morning, but she never got the opportunity to return home. She was brutally murdered by one of the millions of illegal border crossers President Biden chose to release into our homeland. Y'all, as a mom, I can't quit thinking about this. I mean, this could have been my daughter. This could have been yours. And tonight...
First and foremost, rest in peace to Lake and Riley. That's not funny. What's funny is this woman is repeatedly invoking murder and rape and all type of just demonic activity to try to blame Joe Biden. Like, the reality of the situation is, did Joe Biden overturn some of Trump's policies? Of course. But the idea that Joe Biden has no intention of securing the border is false. And it's funny that you bring up murders, fentanyl, all of this stuff. Ma'am, Joe Biden, how about you address the fact that Joe Biden brought it up in the State of the Union address that his bill included an increase of judges, an increase of Border Patrol agents, an increase of drug detecting technology. All the stuff you guys are mad about, Joe Biden has promised to not only shut down the border, but to increase Border Patrol agents, judges, all of this stuff, all sorts of staff, everything you need to get as many illegals up out of here as possible and to limit and discourage more illegal crossings. Y'all said no. You said, your colleagues said no. So for you to invoke Lake and Riley in this dramatic and ridiculous way, and then simultaneously not call out your colleagues for refusing to support a bill to secure the border, fuck all that Democrat shit. Y'all want to talk about Lake and Riley? You look her parents in the face. How about all of y'all? Joe Biden, who overturned those Trump policies on the border. You, your colleagues, how about all of y'all look that girl's parents in the face and say, not only did I, Joe Biden, overturn Trump's policies, but oh, by the way, us Republicans, after Joe Biden offered a strong border plan, we also said no, because what's more important to us than making sure that more people don't end up losing their lives like your daughter, what's more important to us is Trump winning. That's more important to us, is him winning, is him becoming president again. What's more important to us is him winning over securing the safety of our American citizens who could be killed by illegals. All of y'all are wrong. All of y'all dead wrong. But the thing is this, Joe Biden is offering y'all a deal and you keep saying no. And y'all are sick and twisted to keep coming on this internet and do it. That's why I say cut her current, cut her power in her house. Cut the Wi-Fi, stop her from uploading videos, because you and all these other folk in Washington, Marjorie Taylor Greene over there putting a Lake and Riley thing on, but we know what y'all are doing. We see y'all undermining his bills. The man trying to pass these border bills, y'all won't say yes. And then you got the audacity to put on these little lapels and say, Lake and Riley, y'all are sick. Now, I understand why her parents are angry at Joe Biden. I understand why her parents might be pro-Trump. But as legislators who have been elected to take care of this nation, what's more important than the victory of Donald Trump, what's more important than trying to shove the tragedy of that young woman's death in Joe Biden's face, what's most important is the security of our nation, and y'all ain't doing it because you want Donald Trump to win in 2024 in November. Y'all gotta, bro, y'all ain't acting like adults, bro. All of y'all 40-something, 50-something, 60, 70-something years old, and y'all playing childish-ass games when you're supposed to be conducting grown folk business. And then we got to sit here and watch these videos and react and all of that. And I laughed earlier because of her dramatic and almost ridiculous way of breaking all of this down. But I want to reiterate here. There is nothing funny about Lake and Riley's death. What's funny is this woman and her breakdown, her execution, her dramatic nonsense. But this is sick. All of this is sick. It's demonic. For you to invoke these rapes, these murders, and to have no word for your colleagues who have not said a single thing. You have not said a single thing about your colleagues who have been silent about that border bill being derailed. And you got the audacity to press upload on that video. Ma'am, please stop.
But he refused to take responsibility for his own actions. Mr. President, enough is enough. Innocent Americans are dying, and you only have yourself to blame. Fulfill your oath of office. Reverse your policies. End this crisis and stop the suffering.
So you're going to talk about how he attempted to do that and you guys blocked it? Because you didn't get everything you wanted in the bill? You want to talk about that, or are you just going to hop over that one? I'm not going to let y'all get away with this. Republican voters might let y'all get away with this kind of behavior, but I'm not.
Sadly, we know that President Biden's failures don't stop there. His reckless spending dug our economy into a hole and sent the cost of living through the roof. We have the worst inflation in 40 years and the highest credit card debt in our nation's history. Let that sink in.
And Joe Biden's the source of that? If I recall correctly, the pandemic had serious consequences on the economy. If I recall correctly, Joe Biden wasn't in office for that. Joe Biden was not the one who was able to contain and stop the spread of the virus in the States. And then when Joe Biden was in office, he had to do what he had to do to mitigate the spread of the virus. But it's not his choice. If you want to be angry at the economic blowback from COVID, you can always turn your attention to China. It's a lot harder to do that, right? You want to complain about economic upheaval? How about we talk about what's going on in Ukraine? Vladimir Putin, the man who you guys seem to have so much love for in the Republican Party, his war in Ukraine has also impacted inflation. So when we sit here and cry about Biden inflation, Biden spending, ma'am, Joe Biden needed to take care of infrastructure. Joe Biden needs to take care of the border. Joe Biden needs to take care of student loan debt. Joe Biden has a lot of stuff that he's trying to take care of, trying to get done. There's a war going on in Ukraine. Yes, spending. Oh, we also, didn't we send out all that PPP? A lot of shit went down that's out of Joe Biden's hands. The idea that you can just take inflation and throw it at a president, Trump, Obama, Biden, and say, you're the reason for this, is ridiculous. A 40% increase in inflation is at the hands of Joe Biden? Please stop. But I want y'all to see this is what political coverage, this is propaganda. And I'm so glad that I've been able to learn more about politics, because I realize this is what they do. They take complex issues, attach a really simple, not even solution, but scapegoat to it, and say, here, Republican voter, here's a problem, and here's the person who caused it. ABC, 2 + 2 = 4, and it's just dishonest. It's an incomplete picture.
Hardworking families are struggling to make ends meet today. And with soaring mortgage rates and sky-high childcare costs, they're also struggling to how to plan for tomorrow. The American people are scraping by, while President Biden proudly proclaims that Bidenomics is working.
I mean, inflation has decreased. It's a fact. Inflation has decreased. You've yet to prove why the increase in inflation in the last, what did she say, 50-something years or whatever? You've yet to prove why that's Joe Biden's fault. Joe Biden has only been president of the 4 of the however many years you mentioned. Of just 4. You can't cause that much economic damage in only 4 years. And if he had, I don't know, there probably would have been another January 6th if he had actually been messing up that bad. It's like, you can sit here and attribute all of these current issues to Joe Biden, but that's not his fault. Furthermore, let's talk about the Republican Party's solution for inflation. If I recall correctly, didn't some of y'all try to cut Social Security? Didn't some of y'all try to make Social Security sunset? So it's like, y'all get up on this internet and say, spending and inflation and oh my God. And then when y'all are in office, you come up with these wacko, crazy plans to cut Social Security funding so that the debt can be lowered. Tell the American people about your solution for the debt. How about you're going to cut Social Security? How young Gen Z Americans have no hope for retirement when they get older. Tell them about that. You don't want to talk about that, though. It's all just convenient fuckery. You doing too much, Miss Britt. That's her name. Miss Britt. You doing a little bit too much.
Goodness, y'all. Bless his heart. We know better.
Y'all don't know better.
I'll never forget stopping at a gas station in Chilton County one evening. The gentleman working the counter told me that after retiring, he had to pick up a job in his 70s so that he didn't have to choose between going hungry or going without his medication. He said, I did everything.
Y'all the same niggas that don't want public health care. Make it make sense. Like, bruh, you niggas is over here trying to cut Social Security. You don't want public health care. Like, what are you, bruh? And then you gonna sit here and try to make it seem like Robinette Biden is the problem? You niggas have no, bruh. Republicans cut Social Security. Y'all ain't finna get away with this. I'm finna pull y'all up on Google right now. Y'all think y'all gonna pull this one off? No, the fuck you ain't. Don't play with me. Ooh, look at this. On your ass now, the House Republican Study Committee budget proposes harsh changes to Social Security. The proposal would raise the retirement age for full Social Security benefits to 69. So, as y'all are over here trying to fuck over Gen X, Millennials, and Gen Z as we move forward in life, ever onward toward retirement in the far future, y'all got no shame. Y'all gonna sit there and cry about fuel prices. Fuel prices were affected by that war in Ukraine. Y'all still ain't said nothing about Vladimir Putin. Y'all still over there derailing Robinette's plans to fund Ukraine and derail Russia's invasion. Y'all still over there derailing everything he got going on. Y'all don't want public health care. Y'all are over there writing up plans to undermine Social Security. You can't keep this up forever.
Everything right. I did everything I was told to do. I worked hard. I saved. I was responsible. He's not alone. I hear similar concerns from fellow parents, whether I am walking with my friends or whether I'm at my kids' games. But let's be honest, it's been a minute since Joe Biden pumped gas, ran a carpool, or even pushed a grocery cart. Meanwhile, the rest of us see our dollar and we know it doesn't go as far. We see it every day.
This populist bullshit. Joe Biden doesn't push carts in the grocery store. Joe Biden this, Joe Biden that. This ridiculous populism, this foolishness, as if Joe Biden hasn't lived the normal life of an American. He's not a king. He's not a prince. He's been through the same shit as everyone else has been through. He's made it to the top. He's president now. Sometimes these things happen. But you know what's funny? Is Donald Trump is the epitome of elite, and yet y'all don't talk about his privilege and his nobility and all his money. Alright.
And despite what he tells you,
Cook him up, Katie.
our communities are not safer.
Tell him, Britt.
For years, the left has coddled criminals and defunded the police.
Okay.
All while letting repeat offenders walk free.
Talk your shit. She ain't
The
lying.
result is tragic.
She ain't lying.
But foreseeable.
Okay, Katie.
From
Now
our
you
small
got
towns to
okay.
America's most iconic city streets, life is getting more and more dangerous.
But what the fuck?
And unfortunately, President Biden's weakness isn't just hurting families here at home. He is making us a punchline on the world stage. Look, where I'm from, your word is your bond. But for 3 years, the president has demonstrated that America's word doesn't mean what it used to. From abandoning our allies in his disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan to
Trump was the one who set the date for us to withdraw from Afghanistan. What are we talking about? But you know what? Fine. I'll give it to her. I'm not going to fight her on that one. She can have the Afghanistan win. You know what? Joe Biden was commander-in-chief. He could have done it better. I'll give it to her. You know what? Katie, you win. I surrender. However, this is an unflattering pause. For you to talk about abandoning allies, talk about how your party is actively trying to abandon Ukraine. Talk about how your party is actively trying to undermine funding for Israel. Talk about how your party and the pundits that support it are actively engaging in the creation and spreading of media and lies that back and support our enemies. When you talk about that, we can meet in the middle about Joe Biden's foreign policy issues. But you, Republicans, are the biggest domestic threat to American international security. You are, and no amount of videos in green blouses with little, crucifixes and kitchens behind you are ever going to change that. Come live in reality with the rest of us, with the rhinos, the Uniparty, the Democrats. Please come to us, Katie Britt. Leave MAGA behind. You haven't said Donald Trump's name yet, but we all know what dick y'all are doing tricks on. Come over here to us. We got some of the answers, but MAGA is just derailing any possible answer to any possible problem. See reason, please, Miss Britt.
Desperately pushing another dangerous deal with Iran. President Biden has failed. We've become a nation in retreat, and the enemies of freedom, they see an opportunity. Putin's brutal aggression in Europe has put our allies on the brink. Iran's terrorist proxies have slaughtered Israeli, Jews, and American citizens. They've targeted commercial shipping, and they've attacked our troops nearly 200 times since October, killing 3 U.S. soldiers and 2 Navy SEALs. Meanwhile, the Chinese Communist Party is undercutting America's workers. China is...
She literally just brought up the Israel-Palestine conflict and refused to bring up how her peers in the House of Representatives refused to support and send more financial aid to Israel. I'm tired of this bullshit. Do not get up on this internet and cry about Joe Biden's performance in office and then just conveniently leave out how your colleagues are undermining every attempt he's making to be more aggressive. Joe Biden has responded to the Houthi problem perfectly, the Hamas problem perfectly, the Hezbollah problem perfectly. This is tier 1 geopolitical response from Joe Biden. He's decrepit, he could barely walk, he could barely talk, and he's over there doing tier 1 foreign policy. The reason why he's unable to successfully complete it is because of people like you in our Congress who don't give a fuck about what's best for us, but about what's best for Trump. A billionaire who's at the end of his life. He's in his 70s. He's not as sharp as he used to be. He's not as quick as he used to be. Trump needs to go sit down, probably in Alabama or Mar-a-Lago, in a rocking chair and watch his grandkids play sipping iced tea. That's what he needs to do. But instead, you, him, his henchmen, all y'all are working together to undermine America for the sake of his victory every day. And you won't bring up any of this, bro. You conveniently leave out all of that to make a point against Joe Biden. Whose team are you on, America or Trump?
Buying up our farmland, spying on our military installations, and spreading propaganda through the likes of TikTok. You see, the CCP knows that if it conquers the minds of our next generation, it conquers America.
With what, twerk videos? I'm just being real, TikTok. Okay. China is not the one pushing hard propaganda that's contaminating the minds of young kids in America. The main nation notorious for its mind games and information warfare is none other than Russia. The nation that y'all's favorite political pundit, Tucker Carlson, is running defense for right now. The nation that your favorite political pundit, Tucker Carlson, is lying about in favor of right now. So, as you get on this platform and talk about Joe Biden and TikTok and China, Joe Biden is willing to ban TikTok. He just said it either today or yesterday. He made it known, I'm willing to ban TikTok if y'all are. Let's pass it. Let's pass the bill. Y'all don't want to do it though. Y'all don't want to give Joe Biden no type of victory. Y'all don't want to let Unc have no victory. That's the problem with y'all. That is the problem with y'all. And unfortunately, average everyday Americans got to pay the price because y'all keep holding up proper decisions. Propaganda is mainly coming from Russia, the very nation you and your colleagues y'all have spared no expense in doing everything in your power to support and defend Russia when it comes to propaganda. You and your party have made a multitude of excuses for Russia, for Putin. You've undermined our funding for Ukraine. Your biggest and most successful political pundits actively support and enable Russian propaganda. And you, ma'am, have the audacity to turn on that camera and complain about Chinese spying and propaganda on TikTok.
And what does President Biden do? Well, he bans TikTok for government employees, but creates an account for his own campaign. Right now, our commander-in-chief is not in command. The free world deserves better than a dithering and diminished leader. America deserves leaders who recognize that secure borders, stable prices, safe streets, and a strong defense.
Secure borders, stable prices, safe streets. Okay, so Biden overturned some of Trump's policies, but he's actively trying to secure the border, and you guys are actively doing everything in your power to derail that. Safe streets, I'll give it to you. Democrats have been too soft on crime. You win. You win on that one. You win on that one.
Stable prices, safe streets, and a strong defense.
A strong defense. Ma'am, we've been over this. Stop talking about a strong defense when y'all are actively undermining our funding. Nice pause, by the way. Y'all are actively undermining our funding to both Ukraine and Israel. Y'all can't keep, I'm not tired of y'all. Y'all continuously sit there. I ain't gonna lie, my hat looking a little bit crooked. I ain't gonna hold you. I might need to do some maintenance on this, bro. Are we good? I need my white people in comment section to let me know if I'm fucking up or not, bro. Because this ain't looking right. But anyways, ma'am, in terms of national security, y'all's hero, Donald, is actively supporting Vladimir Putin. He just invited Viktor Orban, a puppet, a pawn, a henchman of Putin, the leader of Hungary, Orban, to Mar-a-Lago. And if I recall correctly, ma'am, it's actually funny he did that because Biden had the leader, president, prime minister, whatever they got going on over there in Sweden. He invited the prime minister of Sweden, I believe, to the State of the Union address. While your president, your leader, the one that y'all doing tricks on the dick, Trump invited Viktor Orban to the Mar-a-Lago, whatever the fuck, property, estate, country club, whatever it is, gentleman's club. He invited Orban. As Joe Biden interacts with and strengthens our allies, Trump befriends and fraternizes with our enemies. Keep it up.
Are actually the cornerstones of a great nation. Just ask yourself, are you better off now than you were 3 years ago?
I mean, y'all did overturn abortion, so a lot of people aren't better off. And then you in Alabama, y'all little Alabama niggas, y'all got big problems going on over there with that IVF. So, you know, it's funny y'all ask about it, y'all better off than you were 3-4 years ago. Y'all have done a pretty good amount of damage since Trump's been gone. I don't think y'all are in the position to ask about whether people feel as good as they did 4 years ago. I don't think y'all are. Hold up, I need to charge my computer. 1 sec.
No doubt, we're at a crossroads. It doesn't have to be this way. We all feel it. But here's the good news. We, the people, are still in the driver's seat. We get to decide whether our future will grow brighter or whether we'll settle for an America in decline. Well, I know which choice our children deserve. And I know the choice the Republican Party is fighting for. We are the party of hard-working parents and
wow, this is disrespectful.
Families. And we want to give you and your children the opportunities to thrive. And we want families to grow.
I could have sworn, Shorty, you must have done voice acting for Skyrim. Stop playing with me. She sound like Ysolda from Skyrim. Shorty, is that you?
Strongly support continued nationwide access to in vitro fertilization. We want to help loving moms and dads bring precious life into this world.
Nice one. But one of your peers in Washington, hold up, gotta adjust my hat. You know what I'm saying? Oh man, there we go. It still look a little crooked, I ain't gonna lie to you. It's not looking too good. It's all good though, we be alright. Your homeboys in Washington, I think one of them derailed the bill to protect IVF. What's going on? Yo, Miss Britt, you've been like, bruh, like I actually at this point I feel so bad for you. You put so much work into this video. You've been talking your shit, popping your shit, you know, bold, courageous, you know, authentic, articulate, and yet almost everything you've brought up has been completely derailed by your own people in Congress. So it's like, as you bring up all these issues, members of your party actively are derailing every single solution Joe Biden is bringing up. It's sad. And then your own state puts the rights to IVF at risk. We try to pass a bill in Congress to protect people's right to that, and a member of your party derailed that. So get back to us when you saw that one, but like it's kind of unfair for you to come on TV and do all of this and try to derail Robinette's moment after your colleagues have actively derailed so many of the things that you're crying about right now. So solve that one first before you start coming and talking about IVF. We're gonna support IVF. We can see y'all. Y'all do know we got internet too, right? Is it like that millennial Gen X like mentality? They can't see us. We can see y'all.
Wesley and I believe there is no greater blessing in life than our children. And that's why tonight I want to make a direct appeal to the parents out there, and in particular to my fellow moms, many of whom I know will be up tossing and turning at 2 a.m., wondering how you're going to be in 3 places at once and then somehow still get dinner on the table. First of all, we see you, we hear you, and we stand with you.
You don't have to talk like this, just talk normal.
You're frustrated.
You know what? Actually, Miss Britt, I ain't even mad at you no more, ma'am. I'm not mad at you anymore, and I'm gonna tell you why. At least you're not Marjorie Taylor Greene. Keep going.
I know you're probably disgusted by most of what you see going on in Washington, and I'll be really honest with you.
Believe that.
You're not wrong for feeling that way.
I know I'm not.
Look, I get it. The task in front of us isn't an easy one, but I can promise you one thing. It is worth it. So I am asking you, for the sake of your kids and your grandkids, get into the arena. Every generation has been called to do hard things. American greatness rests in the fact that we always answer that call. It's who we are.
You're doing too much, Mama.
Never forget, we are steeped in the blood of patriots who overthrew the most powerful empire in the world.
Mama, you
We
gotta
walk
chill.
in the footsteps of pioneers who tamed the wild. We now carry forward the same flame of freedom as the liberators of an oppressed Europe. We continue to draw courage from those who bent the moral arc.
Did you just bring up our accomplishments in World War II? Ma'am, need I remind you, your colleagues are undermining our efforts to prevent World War III. Just reminding you, in case you forgot.
And when we gaze upon the heavens,
Oh, God.
never forget that our DNA contains the same ingenuity that put man on the moon.
Oh, my God.
America has been tested before, and every single time we've emerged unbowed and unbroken. Our history has been written with the grit of men and women who got knocked down. But we know their stories because they did not stay down. We are here because they stood back up. So now it's our turn, our moment to stand up and prove ourselves worthy of protecting the American dream. Together, we can reawaken the heroic spirit of a great nation. Because America, we don't just have a rendezvous with destiny. We take destiny's hand and we lead it. Our future starts around kitchen tables just like this, with moms and dads just like you. And you are why I believe with every fiber of my being that despite the current state of our union, our best days are still ahead.
No, they ain't. Not with motherfuckers like you. Not with motherfuckers like you. Let's establish something, Mrs. Britt. Number one, I want to thank you for making this video. I've clowned you for about 50-something minutes, but regardless of how long I've been making fun of you for, thank you for sharing your opinion about how you feel about the state of our nation. Thank you for making your feelings known. Thank you for just speaking up. Like, I'm not even being funny. Like, I actually, like, you know, like, maybe it's a Southerner thing, but, like, I have to respect this woman coming forward and saying what she had to say. As it pertains to the majority of what you said, ma'am, you were right about a few things. Joe Biden overturning some of Trump's former legislation. Democrats being soft on crime. But we also have to talk about now. And the reality is that right now, your colleagues have actively undermined border security, funding for Ukraine, funding for Israel. You sat there and spoke about inflation. Inflation was significantly grown by the war in Ukraine. It's also being affected by what's going on in the Middle East with the Houthis attacking cargo ships. Your party has actively derailed the funding necessary to curtail the aggression of Russia and Iran's henchmen in the Middle East. And yet you have you say nothing about this. You don't bring any of this up. And what I would ask of you, Mrs. Britt, is to show a little bit of that patriotism and integrity and American heroicism that you bragged about at the end of that video. Showcase that, embody that, and call out your colleagues. I don't mind you calling out Joe Biden. My issue, though, is many of the problems you brought up, your colleagues in the House of Representatives have actively derailed over and over and over again, and I have yet to hear anything from you condemning those acts of derailment. That's all I ask from you, Miss Britt. Since you're so opinionated, and since you're so, in fact, well-spoken, I gotta hand it to you, ma'am. You are an amazing speaker. You were a little bit too dramatic and cringe, but the talent is there. You have the voice, the oratorical ability, and the desire to make your voice heard, so I would ask you to speak up and say something. You don't have to like Robinette. You don't have to support him. You don't have to enjoy him. but you do need to do what's best for this country when he presents a plan that benefits this country. I'm sick and tired of people from your end of the political aisle bringing up problems to your constituency, throwing the problems in the face of your constituency, and not explaining the part of, oh, and by the way, yeah, this is a problem, but we kind of derailed the solving of the problem a few times. Don't you guys want to know about that? You never bring that up, ever. Your party conveniently leaves out that information. That's why your peers in the House of Representatives were looking pretty uncomfortable when Joe Biden was standing up at the State of the Union address talking about all the stuff your party's been up to. Your colleagues looked uncomfortable, a little bit, disheveled. You know what I'm saying? Unhappy. Didn't look too good. Mike Johnson over there. It happened. I saw it. I wasn't there, but I was kind of there. I was watching. We all saw it. I'm actually a fan of Katie Britt. What you did was demonic. With that rape story, you're going to hell. And you're also going to hell for bringing up all the murders and not bringing up the fact that your party is actively derailing the solving of this border problem. But I fuck with Katie Britt. I respect her. I respect this lady on some level, and I hope that she shares her opinion a little bit more, but from a much more informed and honest perspective. Ultimately, I think most of what she brought up was hoopla, nonsense, misconstrued and misrepresented information for the sake of riling up a base that is completely controlled by misinformation and half-truths and omitted information. But that's currently the state of affairs in our country. So hopefully Joe Biden can defeat this man Deontay in 2024, which is the year we're in. I keep forgetting. And maybe Katie Britt can grow into a better stateswoman. I think she's got the potential. I think she's got the strength. But, ma'am, this little rebuttal to the State of the Union address was... I don't know. I'm not feeling it. Let me know what y'all think in the comment section below. Like, comment, subscribe. I'm out.